Hey everybody, my name is BlakJak and welcome to Kirby 64, the Crystal Shards. Alrighty, before we begin the actual game, I have a few things to do before actually starting. Let's delete this I said delete this file. Oops. And just before I begin, I want to mention that I suck at this game, so... But yeah, so in the options, we have minigames, enemy info, theater, and these settings. And we're going to be playing around with the display. I'm going to show off all 5 displays throughout the playthrough. And then we're going to stick on the first one just because that's the one I like the best. There's little previews down there, but let's start off with the first one. And yeah, we can begin the game soon. We'll be taking care of everything else in the bonus videos. So, I'm going to show off the tutorial just because why not? So if you ever played a Kirby game, Kirby games are supposed to be super simple games that are really easy. They're like kids games, but for whatever reason this game's fucking hard. And we're gonna learn how to use Kirby's swallow ability, which allows him to eat specific enemies, and like this guy, if you swallow it, you get an ability. So for instance, Kirby can use the fire ability, which is the little dash. But what makes this game special is that Kirby can remove his ability, and then he can chuck it at enemies. And depending on specific enemies, he can, let's grab fire again real quick. If he grabs fire and then shoots it at a needle enemy, you can inhale that and get a double power. And fire and needle combines to make, it's called Flame Arrow, where you turn into a bow and arrow and you can shoot flame arrows. So I really love this mechanic, and it's one of the reasons why I wanted to play this game in particular. I'm going to show off, we're going to, in this episode, we're going to only be taking care of episode 1-1, or level 1-1 on Popstar. And I'm going to pretty much just dabble around with all the abilities, like that's drill right there, stone and needle. So don't worry. This game is actually really fun. Albeit, I won't lie to you, it's kind of challenging. There is no dialogue. There are any of the cutscenes, but that's okay. Every cutscene is pretty well directed, I guess. It's tells you everything you need to know. Like Kirby's like, yo, over here, I got this thing, and this little fairy girl, her name is Ribbon. I had to look that up because I didn't know the name of the characters. Now, I'm not sure if the manual tells you the names of the characters, but that would be a nice thing to know, honestly. Would have been the characters' names. I think throughout the game you can pick up the specific cards that tell you the names of all the characters and all the enemies and stuff, but I'm not entirely sure. So we're at Popstar. We're going to go into 1-1 and start things off. So we can duck, jump, inhale. This is the first time I'm getting the chance to play. The tutorial is just a cutscene. And some enemies don't give you power-ups, but some of them do. And yep, there's that first power-up right there. It's the flame needle, but we've already seen that. I'm going to show it off anyway. Yep. Flame arrow. And there goes one of my favorite enemies in this game. I believe his... What's his name? His name's not Sir Cutter, is it? I totally forgot what his name is. But yeah, it seems... I call him Cutter, because that's what the ability he gives. So, you don't have to... By the way, you don't have to mix... You're a dickhead, Cutter. You don't have to mix the abilities with other abilities to get powers. You can mix them with the same ones and get stronger versions of a move. So, for instance, Fire gives you Fire Dash. If you get 2 fires, you get like a Phoenix thing. And this is probably one of my favorite moves, is the Flame Sword, or Flame Cutter. You can kill enemies by just standing. And if you hold up, Kirby holds the sword upwards, and then if you press the attack button, you can throw the sword. So that's pretty neat. I really like that power-up. And let's check out what Fire and Fire does real quick. And here's what I was mentioning. You can double power-up. And I call it that Phoenix Tackle, because it's like fucking bird wing. It's pretty neat. But yeah, every power can combine with everything else. Some powers are pathetically useless. Other powers are really overpowered. Some powers don't do damage, but can instead have other effects, like if you mix Spark and Freezing, I think. Oh yeah, here's the like weird, like Swiss Army knife ability. He like whips out like 2 pencils and a fucking wine cork and a bee stinger. It's great. But yeah, if you mix like lightning and freezing, I think it is, you get like refrigerator, and that gives you the ability to whip out food and have full health at all times. It's pretty neat. The cutter and needle gives you this like claptrap looking thing, like from Donkey Kong Country. It's not as like, honestly, it's a lot cooler than what I was giving it credit for, to be quite honest with you. So let's see, let's grab cutter. We can eventually, I'm gonna eventually beat the level, don't you guys worry, but I just want to show off some of the powers. We're gonna move on with cutter, because I really like cutter, and we're gonna get double cutter, which turns Kirby's face into the giant whirling spiked ball of death. Ah, look at that. It's very neat though. There's just so many enemies that you can try out, and that's one of the things I love about this game, is that you can just play it however which way you want. I mean, unless you're trying to get 100%, then you're gonna have to come back with specific powers, but we'll get there when we get there. And here's the main collectible of the game. Each level has 3 shards in it. So don't be fooled by these enemies, they don't have anything, so I was a little disappointed about that. I thought they had like some cool power-up. Next, the tomatoes fill you up full health. They're the only healing item in the game that fills you up more than 1 dot. Every other healing item is 1 health point. And that bar below is the boss health, but it also doubles as a life meter. So when you fill up that bar all the way up by collecting stars, you eventually, not eventually, but when you do fill it up, you will get a life for filling up the bar. You get, if you pick up a star, you fill up the bar gradually, and if you pick up blue stars, it fills up even more. If you come back throughout a level and let's say you pick up a Crystal Shard and you play through the level again, you can find blue stars in their place, and blue stars fill up the meter much quicker. You're never really gonna run out of lives in this game. Unless you're me and you suck at it, and then you decide that you're gonna get like 7 or 8 game overs. Yeah, I died a lot in this game. Anyway, here's Bomb. Bomb throws bombs. If you hold a button, you throw it further. Some enemies are in like really hard to get places, like that fire enemy right there. Actually, now that I think about it, this bomb enemy is also pretty challenging to get to as well. Something you could, I was like, fuck, I didn't mean to do that. Something you can do is eat the power up and then, well, not kill the enemy by being in its way, but you can eat the power up after copying it, and then you can just shoot it out like that. That's one thing you can do. Fire and bomb makes fireworks. This is actually one of my more favorite abilities. And if you have a bomb power up, you can break up this little rock and grab a crystal shard. But funny enough, I didn't think it was that important of a power until I was in like a later level, and I was like, wow, this is like playing a real platformer. I was like, oh wait, that's like a diss to Kirby. But I meant that in like the most loving way possible. I meant it more like instead of like a platformer where instead of flying, you only get like 1 or 2 jumps. That's what it was playing like, and it was pretty fun. So bomb and bomb make heat-seeking missiles. If you hold the B button, you can shoot more than 1 missile. It's relatively broken. Really fun power to play with. Honestly, all of these power-ups are pretty good, except for the light bulb and maybe the refrigerator. Actually, scratch that. The dynamite. Dynamite's the worst power-up in this game. It's overpowered, but we'll get there eventually. Don't worry about it. Oh, here's Waddle Dee. He's my favorite character in the game. I think he's everyone's favorite character. And here's Dark Matter, and he wants to spook our boy Waddle Dee. But it's okay. Waddle Dee gets he fucking evolves like Pokemon through friendship, and Waddle Dee becomes Waddle Doo. Waddle Doo is a really easy that's called enemy to face. Every time he trips over, he launches a star, and you can just shoot the star back. But if you have a power-up like mine, you can just obliterate him. Super easy power-up. There's no Waddle Doos. That's the only Waddle Doo in the game, actually. So there's no like laser beam, not laser beam. What's it called? Like magic wand ability, like there's beam ability. That's what it's called, beam. And Waddle Doo's gonna join us for the adventure. He's gonna help us along the way, but I'm sure there'll be more of that in the next episode. By the way, I could not figure this out until like halfway into the game. So what you gotta do is press the A button to pick a direction, and then when Kirby's hands are all the way down, that's how that's the furthest he can go. So like it's all depending on how far he's ducking. But I'll play through 1-2 next time. Peace.